I want to take you now inside into one of the most intriguing IDF combat units. They do so much more that you'll have to see. This is an incredible story. Take a look.
The glum donkey of the Daraj Tufach neighborhood is giving me a guilt trip, as if to say, it's not fair. When at last you're doing a story about the animals in this war, once again, the dog is gonna steal the show. That's life, donkey. The dogs, again, are in front. The numbers put up by the IDF's Oket's canine unit in Gaza would make dog handlers abroad drool. The dogs have taken down 18 terrorists and located 146 explosive charges. Without a doubt, by doing so, they have saved the lives of dozens of soldiers. At last, the hero assigned by the military spokesperson arrives. His name is Stitch, and a TV interview is probably the last thing he feels like doing right now. He naps at will, like any good soldier. Maybe a drink to start us off.
He is an explosive-seeking dog. His job is to seek and find all kinds of charges and explosives.
Tell me about the first explosive you found.
Actually, it was on the second day of the fighting. I sent him off, and I see he's drawn towards one side, towards a large barrel. I see he's changing his manner, and he sits down, which is the cue. I instantly reported to the platoon commander. Now the whole force knows there's an explosive device, and that we need to keep away. So many soldiers came up to me to say, Stitch straight up saved us.
How many explosive charges has Stitch found in total?
All in all, 6.
Now you understand how crucial he is, and why, like the fighters, he rarely takes off his shoes.
As soon as we arrived at the location for a longer stay, I can take off his mitts for a bit.
3 types of dogs, trained differently, are involved in the fighting. Explosive hunters like Stitch, attack dogs, and tunnel dogs. My dog at home shrieks at the sound of thunder. How can your dog function in a war zone with constant explosions?
Look, no offense, these dogs are nothing like your dog. They are handpicked.
That's it, we're ending the interview.
They're nothing like my dog at home either. These are dogs picked after hard tryouts and tests. We find the ones suited for fighting, and their training includes exposure to explosions, live fire, choppers, tanks, so that when the real thing comes, to them it's just another day.
Tarzan is kind of aloof, as you can see. He's very nice. But as soon as I give the command, he can save lives in a moment.
You mean tear someone to pieces?
That's how he saves people, yeah.
The attack dog Tarzan earned his wings in the Shati refugee camp after the squad noticed a suspicious figure entering one of the buildings.
We decided to send the dog in before we went in ourselves. He entered, searched. Based on his search, I can tell if a room is clean or not. After a few seconds, you could hear screams of pain. Then I say, there's someone inside. The dog attacked him. Let's get to work. We enter the room. The dog is still on this guy. I remove the dog and we seize the man.
Was he armed?
Yes.
A quick field interrogation revealed the man was planning on drawing the force into an alley lined with explosives.
He didn't make it as far as the alley because Tarzan attacked him first.
What's Tarzan's reward?
Seizing a suspect, that's his reward.
What happens when your dogs encounter the dogs in Gaza?
We've had several houses booby-trapped with Gazan dogs tied inside of them.
So Hamas places dogs in these houses to distract your dogs?
Absolutely. But we teach them to ignore their animals.
In the ongoing war, the IDF spokesperson revealed for the first time that dogs are used in tunnel searches. When a dog is sent into a tunnel, does he return when he's finished searching or when his handler calls him?
He returns when he's finished. Once he's in the tunnel, you've lost communication and eye contact.
And if it doesn't return?
Were that to happen, you must realize there are terrorists right below your feet.
Since the Okets fighters and their dogs walk in front of the main force, there are casualties. So far, 32 Okets fighters have been wounded in the war, and on October 7th, Company Commander Major Aryeh Ziering was killed. How many dogs have been killed?
We have 14 dead dogs. The dog entering a fight zone catches the first shots from the terrorists.
Do you retrieve their bodies?
It's my ambition, but not at the risk of soldiers' lives. If it's possible, I believe it is the right thing to do, and I expect myself and my people to bring the dogs to burial in the unit dog cemetery. Also, we want to collect info from the cameras mounted on the dogs.
התקלות של כוח גולני במחבלים כקילומטר מהמקום שבו נהרגו החטופים. כלב עוקץ נהרג בתקרית הזו, המצלמה על הכלב מחולצת ומפוענחת.
That brings us to the hostage incident.
Yes, a complex situation. Look, one of my dogs enters a house looking for explosives, encounters a terrorist in the stairwell, and is killed by the terrorist and is left there. In the meantime, we were fighting. I must tell you, we understood immediately that this was an attempt to lure us, that the enemy wants us inside the building in order to activate a charge, collapsing the building on us. That's also why we didn't retrieve the dog's body at first. Several days later, after the hostages were killed, we arrived in the area again. I said earlier that I have the aspiration of bringing dogs to be buried in the unit cemetery, and that aligned with the chance of conquering a new area. The building was no longer a threat.
You mean, when you returned to the building, it was not on account of the killed hostages?
We had no idea this building and the hostage incident were connected. Only later, after retrieving the dog's corpse and watching its GoPro footage, did we understand what had happened.
It's audible in the video.
Correct. The hostages aren't seen. May they rest in peace. You can hear them. It feels like a miss. Truly, such a miss.
What are your key takeaways from that incident?
One, we need to switch ASAP to cameras that can transmit already filmed footage on the spot. We will do it. They'll be operational in 2024. It's a must, in my opinion. It gives unparalleled tactical intelligence in situations like these.
Today, each battalion fighting in Gaza has a team from Okets with it. Battalion commanders have seen the capabilities close up and won't easily give up this tool.
We've worked together from the beginning of the war, full cooperation. Many lives have been spared thanks to this cooperation. For example, a booby-trapped house with a detonation timer. When we were about to enter, the dog sat down and signaled that there was an explosive device in the house. We bombed the house from afar. Okets have once again showed their amazing skills.
Is it possible that robot dogs will replace canines in the next war?
I don't think so. Robotics and drones have a big role in the battlefield, but the dog is irreplaceable. The dog is consistent, very agile, brave, and its biological gifts are such a force multiplier.
The advantage of a robot is that it doesn't get tired, hungry, or horny. On the other hand, it will take 2 days to charge, and Gaza has no electricity. War rations, on the other hand, there are a lot of.
Perhaps you missed that point. The canines are being used to help find the hostages in tunnels in Gaza. That's an important thing. You know, people in Israel all around the world they're wearing yellow ribbons. It's a way to draw attention to the plight of those hostages.